In this screencast, we are going to look at the concept of inventory valuation in a periodic system using FIFO, LIFO, and average cost methods. For our example, we're going to use Blue Baron Bicycle Company, and they had 100 bicycles at a cost of $450 each in inventory on May 1st. Then during the month of May, Blue Baron made the following purchases. They made purchases on 5 different days for 50, 80, 60, 30, and 70 bicycles at these prices, $455 a piece through $490. In May, Blue Baron sold 170 bicycles. So our question is, how do we calculate ending inventory and cost of goods sold using the 3 main methods of inventory valuation: FIFO, which is first in, first out; LIFO, last in, first out; and average cost. Well, first we need to think about what kind of information do we need to calculate cost of goods sold and ending inventory. And what we will need for that is our cost of goods available for sale. Everything that we have available for sale either has to be sold and it ends up in cost of goods sold, or it's not sold and it stays in ending inventory. So if we're going to calculate ending inventory and cost of goods sold, what we need to know is what is the cost of our goods that are available for sale. Now, the second question we have to ask ourselves is, how do we calculate the cost of goods available for sale? How do we know how much we have available for sale? Well, there are 2 components to our cost of goods available for sale. That's our beginning inventory and our purchases. So if we take what we have in inventory to begin with and we add everything that we've bought during the time period, that gives us what we've got to sell. So now we can use this information to try to solve this problem using these 3 different methods. Now, the first thing that we'll want to do is we will want to calculate exactly how many units we have available for sale and what that total cost is. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put in our May 1st balance. This is the 100 bicycles that we had in beginning inventory. So 100 bicycles for $450. Now we've got all of our bicycles, which is a total of 390. If we add our beginning inventory to all of our purchases, we get 390. So those are the units we have available for sale. Now we're going to want to know what is the cost of those goods that are available for sale. And to do that, we take our units and we multiply it by their unit price. So in this case, if we've got 100 units in beginning inventory at $450 a piece, that's $45,000 total. And we can do all of this multiplication, the number of units times what they cost per unit. And if we add that all up, we end with a total cost of goods available for sale of $181,750. So as we answer these questions, what's in ending inventory and what is cost of goods sold under the different methods, we know that the ending inventory plus the cost of goods sold has to equal $181,750. That is what we have available to sell. So let's look at FIFO first. If we look at FIFO and how we calculate FIFO, what we do is we ask ourselves, how many bikes were sold? Well, 170 bikes were sold. That means 170 bikes goes into cost of goods sold. Now, if we take 390 total minus 170 sold, that means we've got 220 units in ending inventory. Now we can divide things up into cost of goods sold and ending inventory using our different methods. Now, first in, first out basically means the first items that we purchased are the first items that we sold. So in this case, the first items that we purchased are the 100 that were in our beginning inventory at $450 each, for a total of $450,000 or $45,000. Then on the 2nd of May, we purchased 50 more bikes at $455. And so those would have been sold. So we sold 100, the first 100 bikes out of beginning inventory. We sold the 50 that we purchased on the 2nd. So that's 150. We need 20 more bikes. So those 20 bikes would come from the May 9th purchases at $460. 20 bikes at $460 is $9,200. So if we add up those amounts, we find out that our cost of goods sold under FIFO is $76,950. Now we can look at our ending inventory. And we know our ending inventory is 220 bikes. So if we're using first in, first out, and we know that the first things that we purchased are the first things that were sold, the last things that we purchased are what is remaining in inventory. And so we can calculate that. So we would say the 70 bicycles that we purchased for $490 on May 23rd, those are still all in ending inventory. And the 30 bikes we purchased on the 20th at $480 a piece, well, they are all still sitting in ending inventory. And the 60 bicycles we purchased on the 13th at $475 a piece, they are still all in ending inventory. Now that gets us up to 160 bicycles. And so 220 minus 160, we've got 60 bicycles left. So from our May 9th purchases, 60 of those bicycles remain in ending inventory, which makes sense since we had 80 and we know we sold 20. So 60 remain, 60 bikes at $460 gives us $27,600. So if we add that all up, we've got $104,800 in ending inventory under the first in, first out method. Now, we can also do a simple check of that. We can take our cost of goods available for sale, our total $181,000, and we can subtract out the ending inventory that we calculated. It gives us cost of goods sold, and that matches the $76,950 that we have here. So $76,950 plus the $104,800 equals the $181,750 that we have in cost of goods available for sale. All of those cost of goods available for sale went one of two places, just like they were supposed to, either into cost of goods sold or ending inventory. Now, in the next screencast, we're going to look at LIFO and the average cost methods.